And as always, if child's pose doesn't feel good to you this morning, resting your body weight on your knees, remember child's pose on your back is the same as knees to chest. So if this doesn't feel good to you, bring yourself onto the back and flip it open. And knees together, we'll start to begin to open up the hips and the inside of the inner thigh. Knees together will begin to lengthen and open the muscles residing along the back of the spine. So you choose what feels good. If you need a block underneath your head, and we'll just take a few moments again to recognize the families that serve, have retired, our nation, and the families, because it's a sacrifice to the families as well. So in the words of Ronald Reagan, some people live an entire lifetime and wonder if they've ever made a difference in the world. A veteran does not have that problem. So. In our child's pose, in our little nucleus circle here, begin to notice how the physical body feels this morning, the emotional and the mental body. And just let that rise up and let it yourself notice and be with it. And then bring yourself into the breath, because we know the breath can settle both the physical, the mental, and the spiritual body. So deepening the breath so that you feel the breath expand into the back of the lungs, into the back of the shoulder blades. Exhale the breath out nice and slow, and just see if you can sink that body down to your mat, down to your practice, and welcome yourself. However you're arriving today, welcome yourself to your practice. 3 nice rounds of breath. Allowing for one more deep inhale. If you're using anything under your head, just kind of set it off to the side. Notice where your arms are. Maybe begin to extend them forward so that you begin to feel from the tailbone through the whole torso. With the breath, see if you can soften the shoulders, that soft tissue under the shoulders down. And continue to inch the finger pads forward. As soon as you feel this nice, big, beautiful stretch, sink the hips back just a little bit more. Take a fuller breath and release it nice and slow. Keeping all the length in the arms, all the length in the spine. Let's just walk our fingers off to the right. So we're going to keep the hips kind of set back on those heels. Maybe that left hand extends a little bit further than the right. Maybe we drop that right forearm down just to release the right side so that we can really feel into the length along the left side. And we'll take 2 long, full rounds of breath here. Again, we're still in that very internal position. So as you begin to open up the body, and as we begin to walk those fingers back to the center and re-extend them forward, we'll walk them slowly to the other side. Again, reaching with the right fingertips, dropping that left forearm down, relaxing the hips, and just breathing into the right side body. And then we'll return back to center. And as we take a breath, begin to walk the fingertips back towards the body. Again, now bringing just a little bit more light into your surroundings. Bring the feet into a seated position, leaving the right shin to the front just to begin. And again, elevating the pelvis on something just allows a little bit more room in the back of the low back and into the, just lets the legs relax a little bit more. And as you sit up nice and tall, beginning with the roots, hug in your pelvis floor, hug in your belly like you could tuck everything right underneath those low ribs. The spine is nice and long, the hands resting gently onto the thighs. Pick up those shoulders and like you were putting them on an imaginary wall behind you. Squeeze the shoulder blades so that the heads of the shoulders fall back. Chin is parallel, crown of the head towards the heavens. And just close down the eyes so that we can begin to set an intention. Whatever that intention serves you, just to get you on your mat, centered, and off of your mat into your day. Blinking open the eyes. Take the arms out to the side, sweep them up, sweep them overhead. Let that intention be the prayer that comes together over your head. And then draw that prayer, that intention into your heart. Begin to move with some breath here. Stretch those arms out to the side, reach them high, and then draw all of that into the heart. Twice more. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. Last one. Leave the hands up. Find the extension now, both sides of the body. Drop the right hand out to the side, out from that right hip, and extend the left arm overhead, bicep by the ear. Take in a breath. And place that hand behind the head, right there at that curvature. Left elbow extends back on a diagonal, so we're opening up across the pecs, the chest, taking a full deep breath. Exhale slowly as you begin to round that elbow towards that right knee. Doesn't have to go anywhere near it, just point down, gaze down. With breath, 3 more times. Inhaling, elbow extends high and behind. And exhaling, we curl it back in. Twice more. And we'll all end with that elbow pointing down towards the right knee. Release that hand from the head. And then just circle that left arm across the body low to plant right outside that left hip. And lift the right arm up and take it over. Working slow into all the intercostal muscles. Gaze can be down, it can be up, elbow is back. Full deep breath. And then we'll place the hand here behind the head. Second side, open up the elbow. Again, breathe into the chest, expand into the heart, and then close it off, elbow towards the knee. Inhaling, we open and we expand and we breathe. And we know on the exhale, there are times we need to curl up. So curl up, let out all the air so that 2 more times you can open, breathe, introduce your heart, and exhale, release. And then we'll meet with that right elbow pointed down towards that left knee. Release the head, swoop the arm across low on the body, take it to the other side. This time extend that arm on a diagonal behind you. Breath in, sweep it to the other side. So as you're doing this sweep, the hand that's on the mat is coming more towards the back of the body and the hand going up. It's almost like a back bend. Take it nice and slow. 2 more rounds. When you finish that round, both fingertips behind you now pointing away. Press into the finger pads, arch through the spine, lift the chest, and let the head drop back into the trapezius. Open the jaw, let the jaw fall open to release. And then close the jaw and bring the bottom lip over the top to just open up the throat. So a couple times, jaw opens, bottom lip comes up and over. Good. Rolling over onto hands and knees, finding our tabletop. Again, moving through the spine in a gentle manner. If you can start with that tailbone so that you can feel, again, the muscles in that tailbone, in the pelvis, roll along the spine as you lift the chest. Exhaling the air, the pelvis tucks, the back rounds from the low back through the shoulders as you tuck the chin. Take maybe 5 cat-cows here, feeling into the whole body. Then a slight modified flow here. Just press the hips back towards the heels like that extended child's pose. We're just going to move here with breath as you inhale, bringing yourself up to that table position. And as you exhale, dropping the hips, arching the spine, and lifting the chest. Sending it back nice and slow. Big breath up into your table. Letting that breath go as you lift your heart, lift your gaze, and then back into that child's pose. Twice more, slow with breath, making each one a little bit more fluid. And then meeting back in extended child's pose, feeling the length of the spine. Now I'll be adding on the downward dog plank. But if this feels good right now in your body, because it is early there, stay with that flow. On your inhale, bring yourself up and forward. Chest lifts. Tuck those toes under. If you're with me for down dog, lift the hips to the ceiling and press them back behind you. Take a big breath and wave yourself into a plank pose, top of a push-up. Press it back into your downward facing dog. Feel the back of those legs and lower the knees to find child's. So we'll do that series 4 times. You can mix them up or you can just stay in child's pose. Inhaling, coming up and forward, letting all the air out. Those toes are tucked, the hips lift high and back. Press those palms away from you. Inhale to wave the spine forward. Nice strong arms. Press it back to your dog. Drop the knees. Child's pose. So see if you can take the next 3 on your own. Almost as if you couldn't stop between each pose. The body just continues to flow and to feel. I'm flowing into my last one. You take your time. We'll meet in child's pose. This child's pose, flatten your feet. Bring the arms beside the body. Let the whole chest rest right on the thighs. Head rest on the mat or a block. Let the shoulders go. Notice the constriction of the breath. With the knees together, you're almost forced to bring a bigger breath into the back of the lungs. Separate the shoulder blades. Make a fist with the hands and draw those knuckles in towards your wrist. Nice and easy, just to release the wrist from the work we just did. Then maybe circle them in any direction. And then slide the hands right back under the shoulders, tuck the toes under, lift the hips up. So you're in a forward fold at the back of your mat. I separate my feet about hip distance apart. Let my whole upper body just rest on my thighs. Release my head, let it be heavy, the neck very fluid. Maybe circle through the neck. Using the elbows to weight, cupping elbows brings a little more weight to the spine. Allow the knees to bend as much as needed. You want to feel just a little bit of energy, the lengthening of the back of the legs. If the neck is tight this morning, interlace behind the head. And again, allow those elbows to draw some length into the neck. And then place your hands back on the mat Walk yourself back out to a downward facing dog. We're only here for a second. So pedal out the feet, wag the hips, feel the movement in the torso, the movement through the toes, the ankles. And then come up high on the balls of your feet, bend your knees, look towards your thumbs, and come into plank. And then from your plank, drop your knees, walk your hands about a handprint forward so that you can drop the belly down into your Sphinx pose, a passive back bend. The legs can go as wide as comfortable. Bring the elbows underneath the shoulders, unless you have a shoulder injury, and then bring them up just a little bit more. Press into your mat like you could drag it toward your chest. Let that begin to lift the chest forward, and maybe from your belly button all the way to the sternum, you feel a stretch, and you're going forward, not up. We don't want to compress into the back. And take a breath here. And then slide those legs a little more together. Drop your forehead to the mat. Bring your fingertips outside the mat, right and left. And they're like little cupcakes. Elbows are straight up. So with the head resting, the forehead resting, we're going to wave up into a spider cobra and down. And then we're going to just take those shoulders one side to the other. So working nice and slow, your first big breath, press into the fingertips, begin to lift the chest. And then slowly lower it down. Take another inhale. And fully exhale. The last one. As you come up, dip that right shoulder down as you look over the left elbow. Big inhale back to center. Opposite side. Drop the left, gaze over the right. And inhale, brings it back to center. Slowly lower yourself back down. Release the hands, release the feet. Take a little shimmy in the hips. Now here, we want to make sure you have a lot of room. This is one of my favorite sequences. So we're going to press back up into our Sphinx pose. Walk the right hand a little bit forward so that you can slide the left arm underneath like thread the needle. Return the temple to the mat, the back of the shoulder, let it rest. Then we're going to add on to this, coming into that half frog. So that right knee is going to slide out to the right so that it's in line with the hip, and the ankle and the knee form a 90-degree. So everything's in a line. Walk the right fingertips forward. Feel into the stretch here, but let the pelvis sink a little bit. Taking that right hand now and just dragging it over to that left hand. We're going to roll onto the back body, but we're going to leave that right knee out to the side, and we're going to tee out the arms. So a little bit of if you pick up that left shoulder and kind of scooch it over a little bit, you might be able to lower that right arm a little bit more into that whole T position. So a nice gentle twist through the spine, opening through the glute, opening through the chest, and take a breath. Then we're going to completely roll onto the spine. Don't worry if you're going off your mat, and draw that right knee into the chest. So just kind of squeeze it in and interlace behind that hamstring, slowly leading with the heel. Take that right leg up towards the ceiling. Maybe take a twist or two around that ankle. Maybe walk the hands up the calf a little more. A point and a flex. Spreading of the toes, and then pinching them in, and feel all that space in the top of the foot. So one more, swirl the ankle. One more, draw that thigh in just a little bit closer. And then half happy baby on this side. So begin to bend into the right knee, reaching up for the outside of the foot, or even just cupping around the knee crease just to draw the right knee down. See if you can relax here. And then we're going to slide that left foot back so the left knee is bent. We're going to take that right ankle across, finding that figure 4 position, leveling out the hips, using your fingertips to encourage the right knee away from the body. Just beginning to open all around the right hip. No forcing, should feel good. It's a different kind of a stretch. One more breath. And then we'll counter that by just letting that right knee fall into the chest. Give it a squeeze across the body. Again, beginning just that piriformis muscle, that IT band down the outside. And then return to that T position. I'm sorry, the figure 4 position. Lifting the left leg up, interlacing and drawing the thigh in a little bit closer. Again, if movement in the left foot feels good and that ankle, pointing and flexing, we'll be back on this side as we do the other one, but do what feels good. And then we'll bend that left knee and replant the left foot. Again, coming back to level hips. Now we're just going to rock it. So we're going to work a little bit of the side body, but using some hip strength and some core strength. So your arms can be in cactus or a T. Just keep the leg structure and then just kind of roll onto the right hip, the outer right thigh coming closer to the mat. Here, use your breath and core to draw it back up to center. And just roll it across that low back to the left hip and let it, maybe the foot come closer to the mat. And you take it from here, inhaling to the center to level, and then just floating to the other side. One more time, each side. Then level out those hips, release that right ankle, just draw the right knee in one more time. Extend the left leg long. We're going to take that right knee across the body, roll onto the side body as you come back to that T stretch. So the right knee's over to the left, doesn't have to touch. Arms are out. Take in the breath. Right arm's going to lift up to the ceiling, come across the body to meet the left. As we begin to roll our way back into that thread the needle position, and then push our way back to that Sphinx half frog position. And draw the leg back down. Press into your palms, draw your heart forward. And we'll take it to the other side now. So extend the left knee out to the side. Again, lining it up with the hip and the ankle. Walk that left hand forward so you can slide the right arm underneath. Come to rest on the outside of that shoulder and on the temple. Walking the left fingertips forward, relaxing into wherever you're feeling any clenching or any tightness. Using your breath. And then we'll slide that left hand over to where that right palm is. Begin to roll onto the back body, but leaving that left knee out to the side. So we're coming into that spinal twist. Again, if you can pick up and scooch that right shoulder tip over towards the right, you'll find a little more space to open those arms up to your T position. 3 breaths here, all side body. We'll continue now to roll onto our back, this time bringing the left knee into the chest, giving it a squeeze. Right leg is long. Interlacing behind that left thigh and gently raising the left leg up towards the ceiling. Walking the hands up towards the calf. And again, making mindful movements now, pointing and flexing, circling the ankle. The one thing I've noticed now that I've started this walking is how sore my ankles are because, for an hour and a half, they're moving up and down, which doesn't really happen in the course of the day for me. So this feels good. Pausing that action, see if you can draw that thigh in just a little bit closer to the ribs. And then we'll find that half happy baby here. So bending into that left knee, hand grabs where it can grab, the ankle of the calf behind the knee or the blade edge of the foot. Relax the body down. See if you can bring that knee in close to the outer ribs. Big glute opening here. Notice your breath. Notice your mind. On the next breath cycle, bend into the right knee so it points up to the ceiling. And just take the left ankle across, figure 4. Fingertips inside the inner thigh. Gently press that thigh away. Noticing if the left hip might be a little tighter than the right. So if you just pause there for a couple extra breaths. And we'll counter stretch that. Let that left knee fall across the body over towards that right shoulder. Maybe use the hands to adjust it down. Again, that piriformis IT band here on the left side. And returning to the figure 4. Level out the hips, interlace around the right hamstring, lift the foot, make whatever motion you need there. Beginning to slow that down. Right foot's going to come down, placed on the mat. Again, whatever position is good for your arms and your chest. Level out your hips and just begin to make that little sway to one side and the other. Starting out slow, maybe with each breath, each movement, The outer thigh can come closer to the side. That foot can land more towards the mat. Same gentle stretch working through the whole side body. Roll across that low back. It should feel good, hip bone to hip bone. We'll take one more rotation here and come back and level out the hips. This time we're going to roll back, the leg coming over towards the mat as we return towards our Sphinx position and our half front. So we'll pause here, again, planting the hands, letting that chest come forward, feeling the stretch here in the front body and the back. And then we'll release that left leg, shimmy out the hips. Draw the hands underneath the shoulders and press your way back to table. And we'll close the same way this morning. Find your favorite child's pose, either on your back, knees wide, knees together. Stack the hands one on top of the other for a pillow of the head. Closing breath to come back to that prayer, that intention that we set at the beginning of the practice. And may we all step off of our mats a little more grounded, a little more at ease. And I'll see you tomorrow. Same time, same place. Namaste.